Okay, I'm going to be doing this video message on Galatians 6, verse 4 through 6, which says, each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Nevertheless, the one who receives instructions in the word should share the good things with their instructor. And so we see in this passage, it talks about not comparing ourselves to other believers, and we should all carry our own load. It says shortly before that, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you may also be tempted. Carry each other's burdens. In this way you fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves without comparing themselves to someone else. And then it goes on to say, for each one should carry their own load. And so what does that mean? We're to bear one another's burdens, yet we're also to carry our own load. There's a certain degree where we are called to come alongside of other believers who are struggling, help encourage them, and do our part to be a blessing to them and an encouragement to them. We've all received a spiritual gift, and so a lot of us have been given the spiritual gift of encouragement. So that means when we're going through something, when somebody else is going through something, and we can come along and share encouragement and instruction with them from the Word of God. But I saw something kind of interesting the other day. I lifted up a rock, and I saw a bunch of ants underneath it. They were running frantically to and fro to try to move the eggs that were on the soil underground into the nest. And then there came out one very large one that seemed a little bit bigger than the rest. And I assumed it was a soldier ant, and so I did a little research on that matter, and I found out, that indeed was a soldier ant. And soldier ants are a little different than the rest because they're slightly larger, and they have stronger jaws, and they're more geared towards defending the colony of ants. And so there's soldier ants, and then there's worker ants, but we don't see these ants comparing themselves to the other. And we don't see the ants. There's worker ants, and then there's soldier ants, and we see that, and of course there's a queen, and there's other types of ants too, but the main point is we don't see one trying to usurp the role of the other, or trying to compare itself with the other types of ants that are found in the colony. Each of the ants just objectively do their own work, and try to do what's in the best interest of that colony of ants. And just imagine if the ants were all like every ant for themselves. What if they were all like jealous of each other and started comparing themselves? And then no work would get done. The colony would not thrive that way. And that is so true with the Christian life. When we're in Christian fellowship and we're doing what God has specifically called each and every one of us to do as individuals, that is truly how we get work done in the Christian life. That is truly how we come a long ways, how we work together as a team. We're not called to compare ourselves. We're not called to look at that other person. Not all of us is called to be in the ministry per se. We're not all called to be pastors. We're not all called to be missionaries. We're not all called to do the same exact things or have a large ministry. But we are all called to minister in some way. That means God has given us each an individual spiritual gift that we are to use for the glory of God and to build up the people of God through that. And so, a lot of us have ordinary jobs. A lot of us will go to work as like plumbers, electricians, part-time workers. Some of us may work in a grocery store. Some of us may work at a bank or at this place or that place and just have ordinary jobs. Not all of us are working in a church, but we all are called to Christian ministry of some shape and fashion. That means we can use our spiritual gift wherever we're at to the glory of God, to serve the people of God in the way God calls us to. And so that means that none of our tasks that God has given us is less important than the other. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, And he was talking about how the value of being a good father is so very important. And oftentimes the role of a father is not as highly valued, or the role of a Christian parent is not as highly valued these days as the role of an evangelist or a preacher. Or we look up to these people like preachers and evangelists, and we think, wow, they're doing something great for the kingdom. But we oftentimes look at parents in a different light and think, well, they have a small duty, but it's not small at all. If you think about it, raising godly children, teaching your children to do the work of the Lord and to teaching them biblical truths, that is an indispensable, wonderful gift and calling in and of itself. We cannot undervalue the value of godly parents, because we all started somewhere. Even the greatest evangelists that ever lived many of them have had godly parents that prayed for them on a regular basis, that taught them the Word of God, that poured into their lives, that showed them by example what it is to be a Christian. And so that is so important. So we can never just say, well, I'm just an ordinary Christian, I can't do anything for the Lord. That is silly. That is silly. We all have a role to play. And when we're fully yielded to God, God is going to use us in the way He has called us to be used by Him. Now, let's take a look at this verse where it says, "For the eyes of the Lord range to and fro throughout the earth, to strengthen the hearts of those who are fully committed to Him." It doesn't just say, the eyes of the Lord range to and fro throughout the earth to strengthen the talented folks. No, it does not say the eyes of the Lord range to and fro throughout the earth to strengthen the hearts of those who preach in church, who are pastors, who are this or that. No, it says to those whose hearts are fully committed to Him. And that is the key ingredients to success in the Christian life and the Christian call. Regardless of who you are, the eyes of the Lord range to and fro throughout the earth to strengthen the hearts of those who are, what? Fully committed to Him. And so that is the key to success in our Christian calling. It's not about talent. It's not about skill. It's not about our vast number of people that look at us, or our influence, or our circle. It's about our obedience and our faithfulness and our committedness to the Lord. And if we do that, the Lord is going to use us in the way He best sees fit. And we should rejoice, because it's going to be the way that most glorifies Him. God bless.